Hello everyone. This video is to show you how to create an APA formatted template. As Hallmark University uses APA across all courses, this template will not just help you identify how an APA paper is formatted, but will also save you time in your setup for any writing assignment that may require you to write an APA. By the end of this video, you will be able to identify the basic parts of an APA template, distinguish between proper and improper APA formatting, and create your own APA formatted template. We'll begin by opening up Word. Once Word is open, go ahead and start off with a blank document. The first thing I usually set up in APA paper is the header. To do this, we would need to double click on the top part of the page like so. Now we're in the header section. Once in, we first need to check off the different first page checkbox. This right here. Once that's done, we now have to add a page number. To do so, go to the upper left side and we should see the page number drop down right here. Click that, hover over top of the page, and select the third option. Now we should have our page number. Now we're going to type the words running head. Right after that, we put a colon. Remember that this part needs proper capitalizations. Press spacebar once, and now we need to add the title of the paper we're writing in all uppercase. Remember as well that the title in the running head has to only be 50 characters or less. So if you have a long title, create a shorthand for it. For this paper, I'll just say that it is my research paper. Now press tab twice, and that should push your title to being left justified. The next step is to select all by either using your mouse or using the keyboard shortcut Control A. We now go back to the top left to select the Home tab, change the font to Times New Roman and the font size to 12. Now we're done with the first running header. We now need to set up the title page. So double click out of the header section and head to the paragraphs option by either clicking the small arrow right here or right clicking on the page and selecting the paragraph option. Once there, go to the line spacing and select double. Once we've selected double, you can now click OK, and then we'll move on from there. Now we need to change the font again to Times New Roman and the size to 12. Now we need to center justify the page. To do so, we can click this button right here at the top by the top of our screen or use the keyboard shortcut Control E. Once we have the center justified, we can now try to find the center of the page. We can do this by using the zoom slider at the bottom right of our screen right here, or using the keyboard shortcut Control and middle mouse. Doing so right there. Now we press enter until we're about close to the center. About right there. We will need to give some space. We shouldn't be completely centered because we're going to be writing a bit of information here. We now type the title of the paper. For this paper, it's research paper. Press enter, your name, or my name in this case. Enter, and then the school. Now this information varies from instructor to instructor. Some instructors might want the course code there, the date, their instructor's name, etc. So it all depends. Always check with your instructor on what they want in the title page. Now we're pretty much done with our title. If you think you aren't completely centered, you can always just adjust by using the backspace or enter button. Once you're confident in the title page, we now can go to the last line and go to the next page. We stay on the first line of the new page. And here we're going to set up the header of our body paper. So this is going to be a little bit different from the title page header. The only difference is just you're not going to see the running head words anymore. So same process. we're gonna go ahead and double click up top. You can select the page number here, top of the page, and third option. Now we're gonna type the title of your paper once again. You don't need to type the running head anymore. All caps as well. Press tab twice, and that should justify it to the left. Once done, you can go ahead and select all, go back to home, change the font, Times New Roman, 12-point font, and that is our header. That's going to be the header for all of the other pages, and that's pretty much set. You don't have to deal with that anymore. You can double click out of that, and then you're set there. Now, depending on your assignment, you may or may not need an abstract page. If you do, then you're going to want to do this. If not, then you can skip to the next part. So, while centered, you're going to type the words abstract, proper capitalization, press enter, and then we're going to go back to the left justified by clicking this button right here or using the keyboard shortcut Control E. Normally, you would indent the first line of your paragraph. In an abstract, you don't have to do that. You can start typing your abstract right here. So you start off the abstract here. No need for indentation. And that's pretty much it. So once you're done with the actual abstract, you're going to need to actually move on to the next page. Remember that an abstract is always going to be a standalone page. The body of your paragraph from your introduction to your conclusion is always going to be separate from your abstract and your title page. So once done, you can go ahead and press enter until you are in the next page. Now, we're going to be starting our actual paper here. We start off by going back to the center justified. We'll click here to do that, or Control E. We type the title of our paper again. In this case, it's research paper. Press enter, and then we're going to go back to left justified. Now, we are actually going to apply the rule of indentation here. This is going to be the start of your introduction paragraph, and you're going to start it here. Paragraph goes here. You follow the proper indentations in the following paragraphs. So that's pretty much it. This is where you're going to be typing most of the bulk of your paper. This is going to be your introduction, your body, your conclusion, and all of that. And that's pretty much it. Remember that when you're doing indentations, do not use the spacebar. Always use the tab button. The tab is by default going to indent your line by ½ inch. So always use the tab button. Once you're done there, you are now going to set up your reference pages. Now in the reference pages, you are going to, just like the abstract page, it's going to be a standalone section as well. So once you're done with your paragraphs, you're going to go to the last line and press enter so that you can move on to the next available page. Once there, we're going to put another header as well. We're going to center justify, type references, press enter, and go back to left justified. Now in this section, we do have to follow a specific rule to APA, which is called the hanging indentation. Now the reference pages is going to house all of your sources, and of course this is going to be a completely separate discussion about how sources are and how to put them in the proper APA format. But once you have that, then you can go ahead and start populating this section. So say for example, you already know all of that stuff. You've put your sources into the APA format, proper citations. You're gonna want to populate this section now. So I have a sample here. I have 3 sources that I used for this paper, quote unquote. I have 1, 2, and 3. So the first thing you're going to want to do is arrange them alphabetically by the first letter of the last name of the author. So I have here Coty. I'm going to want that to be the first one. The second one will be Lamb here. And the third one will be Mendoza. So I have 3 that I'm going to use. So now you're going to want to do the hanging indentation. And the hanging indentation basically is sort of the opposite of a normal indentation. Here, The first line remains left justified, and any subsequent line of the same source will be indented by half an inch. And the way you do that is you go to the second line of, say, for example, I have this first source right here. We're going to go to the second line here. And on the top of your page here at the ruler, you're going to click this bottom slider. You're going to move that by half an inch. And that will pretty much just give you the hanging indentation for this one source. And you're going to do that for every source that has 2 or more lines. So for example, this second one here, I have a second line. I'm going to go to that second line and I'm going to do the hanging indentation. Now sometimes this will happen, don't worry about that, because we can always fix that. Once you've done the second line, you go back to the first line and you're going to use the top slider and move that back to its original position. And there you have it. And you're going to do the same for every source that you have. And that's pretty much it. You now have an APA paper template, APA paper template. And so this is pretty much what you're going to be using a lot of the times. So depending on your assignment, you can just copy this whole Word doc, change the title, change the paper, change it to however you need it. If you need the abstract, you can type that up. If not, you can just delete that part. And then you can just have everything ready instead of having to set up the running head again, forgetting to do the different first page, or doing the hanging indentations and putting the right headers on each section. All of that stuff is pretty much done and you wouldn't have to worry about it. Now, I hope this helped you all in making your own APA formatted paper. Make sure to keep a copy of this so that you don't have to worry about it. And have a good day.